It took me 8 years to understand what I'm about to tell you, and I think you're very lucky to watch this video because it might save you a lot of time, tears and all the rest. So the real reason you can't learn a language is because, well, the industry is fake. Everything you're seeing is fake, and I am well aware that certain orange-faced individuals have overused the word fake and it's lost a lot of its potency, but I really am talking about a fake landscape, fake. So many people set out to learn a language and fail. They wonder what went wrong and they assume that the problem is them, which is what you might be thinking. So they jump onto the next solution, the next app, the next YouTuber, the next miracle method, and they fail again. And it really did take me 8 years to understand what I'm saying here. It took me 8 years to understand what is actually going on. The language industry itself is rotten. That's it. The language industry itself is rotten. It's fake, it's an illusion, it's a mirage, and it's Monty Python level absurdity. When I started my language school years ago, I genuinely believed that effort and competence would be enough. As far as I was concerned, I ticked every box. I was passionate and committed, I was friendly, available, perfectly bilingual in French and English, university diplomas, I had real teaching experience, and as far as I knew, I outworked everyone I knew. 7 days a week, always at it, always at the grindstone. I can't conceive how anyone would ever outwork me. 7 days a week, always at it. So when things didn't take off initially, when I started this language school, well, I assumed that the issue was execution. So I did what any professional would do. I improved the system, I improved my course structure, I improved my website, spent a lot of time on the website, adjusted the prices, rewrote the website descriptions. Well, none of it changed anything. Not because the product was bad, but because the product was unrecognizable. And I found a metaphor for it which became very clear to me, and it took me 8 years. I was selling quality beef at the beef market, but everyone was expecting beef to be blue and taste like chocolate. So the more I tried to explain the nutritional value of the beef I was selling, the texture, the substance, I'd been to beef school, beef university, I was one of the best in the world at selling beef, taste my quality beef. Well, people walked right past the stall because they weren't recognizing it. Beef is supposed to be blue. And I realize it might sound extreme, what's he on about? But yeah, you expect beef to be blue and taste like chocolate. And so people didn't understand what I was offering. So I started to ask the wrong questions, because of course I would never have guessed that that was the real answer. I started to wonder, well, is it exposure on Google? Can people not find me? Is it the website design? Is the message not clear? Are my prices too high, too low? None of it. It's funny because you go down that rabbit hole. You look at your own website and you say, well, what's wrong? I actually wanted to write on my website in bold letters, I sell French. Yes, you can succeed. Yes, I will make you know French in a year or less. Yes, no fail. I mean, how else can I explain it? It wasn't the issue. It wasn't the problem. I was failing to communicate within an abnormal market. That's the answer. I was operating inside a land of chocolate and blue beef. Blue beef now tasted like chocolate, and people no longer recognized real food. And you don't recognize real food anymore. Sounds extreme, doesn't it? I have an anecdote to share with you. People sometimes had to spend an hour on the phone with me before committing to my program, even when the price was ridiculously low. I mean, $240 for lifetime access to a French course. An hour on the phone. Some people, I'm thinking of someone who called me 3 times, like literally almost 3 hours on the phone to commit to $240. Not because they thought I was a fraud, but because what I was offering was too foreign to evaluate. So I think that they knew I was onto something because they saw the proof. They saw, well, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. I mean, he's made someone fluent. The proof is on video. His student really speaks French really, really well. So he's onto something, but they had to make sure on the phone, because I was selling results, clear results, transformation, a structured program and real work. And they did suspect I was telling the truth, but they had to check again and again, because reality itself had become suspicious. Imagine that. Reality was suspicious. I was telling people the exact opposite of what they had heard. I was telling people, yes, you can learn a language, no doubt about it. Yes, you will have to do some work. No, it's not complicated. Yes, I do have proof of success that it actually works. But they had been conditioned for decades to hear the exact opposite. No work, no discipline, endless tricks and shortcuts, very poor results, if any results at all. The idea these days is just to participate in a course. And worse, I think many people who bought my program or who contacted me weren't even expecting results at all. They weren't really expecting to learn French. They were expecting to participate in French, because these days it's a lot about, it's really about participating in a course rather than succeeding. The best way I can say it is, I teach having learned, or I sell at least having learned. The purpose is to have learned French, not to be learning French forever. That's not what I do. It's to have learned French. A lot of people just want to stay busy, to be involved in a program with no clear endpoints, just to be, to have it sustained forever. We also need to speak about something else. We need to speak about the day that non-educators, IT, business and marketing types took over language teaching, and many people don't realize this. This is the reality we live in today. So language learning has been redesigned by IT, business and marketing people. Not by teachers, not by linguists, not by practitioners of the craft like myself. IT, business and marketing. And they imported ideas that probably work in software and entertainment, and imposed them onto learning. And I find it very sad that almost no real teachers, real educators ever spoke out against it in a meaningful way. They started to evaluate Duolingo as if it was a real thing, could it be good or bad, or could there be some good in Duolingo, things like that. I think they gave them legitimacy when they shouldn't have. I mean, all these solutions that we find is just the equivalent to what you trod on in the pavement and weren't too happy about, and that you're now trying to scrape off in the grass. There was no strong voice of opposition from real linguists or real educators against these trends. So language learning, as we now call it, slowly became, whatever the non-educators decided it should be. And at one point, the real products, such as I sell, completely disappeared, and it stopped being recognized at all. So it really is a case of a large-scale international cultural amnesia, unlike anything I've ever seen in any field. So all this being said, the reason you can't learn a language today is because you've been conditioned to expect blue beef that tastes like chocolate, green carrots that taste like strawberries, and anything except real food. You don't even know what real food looks like anymore. You follow Google suggestions, you watch YouTube videos, you try the latest method, as if a method was even a thing, and you don't learn anything. It's not because you're incapable. It's because the idea that you might need to crack the books, memorize, repeat, self-isolate, or trust a qualified professional has become so foreign that you don't even know it exists anymore. Instead, you've been conditioned to expect easy solutions to complex problems, and you expect easy answers to complex questions. You expect syrupy personalities instead of competence, and I can't resist saying, hello, today we learn the French, we learn the real expression like in Paris, yeah, let's go, that type of crap. When you open a website, you're looking out for badges, labels, proof of legitimacy that you recognize, such as A1, A2, B1, B2 levels. Utter nonsense that it feels official but it doesn't explain anything. Just for the record, A1, B2, B2, it's all an invention, it's all make-believe. It's BS on a large scale, believe me. So you buy the personality of the tutor and you trust the branding, and still nothing changes. Even after hearing me, I think the conditioning has been so powerful that beefsteak today is blue and tastes like chocolate, and I think you may still think that the real solution is still somewhere else on the internet, another video, another app, another system somewhere, another method, and because I think in all seriousness, such is the depth of the conditioning that's taken place over the last 25, 30 years, I don't know. Until you see it, you will continue to fail at language learning because you're operating in a house of deceit. You're operating within lies. You still expect your beefsteak to taste like chocolate and to be blue, and it's really regrettable. You've been raised on sugar and you expect simplicity for complex problems. That's it. That's the reason you can't learn a language today. My name's Chris and I teach French. Thanks for watching the video, and I genuinely, sincerely hope it's helped at least one person out. I'm not expecting this to make hundreds of thousands of views. If it hits 50, I'll be happy, because it's not the world we live in. See you very soon.